don't print that. We can't have that in the newspaper. Take that out. Rage Against the Machine, why do you keep talking about politics? It's like my brother in Christ.
Journalist extraordinaire, Emmy-winning, Pulitzer-winning, Fulbright scholar, Dexter Thomas.
Everybody says, oh, just give me the facts, no bias. Like, that's not possible.
Yes.
It's just not possible. Cops show up, kill one of the boys, charge everybody with murder.
What? Oh my God. Wow, Candace Owens is starting to make sense. Wow, I can't believe I agree with Tucker Carlson. Fucking liberal media won't talk about this. Academia is a cult. Tell me more. Hello, welcome to the Mary Houlihan Show. Today we are joined by journalist extraordinaire, Emmy-winning, Pulitzer-winning, Fulbright scholar, Dexter Thomas. Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Well, now people will take you seriously. It's before they're like, oh, he's just some guy.
That's the trap, man. That's the trap, is you think you get one more accolade and people will take you seriously, and it never works.
Well, you gotta wear a shirt that says or something. That says Emmy-winning, Pulitzer-winning.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just wear that on the shirt. Yeah, it didn't bring that shirt today.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been watching a lot of your vids, and
I love how you say vids.
oh, you gotta. That's what the kids say.
It is what the kids say nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, all the
Say
vid
it.
kids. And you have you gotta check out Dexter's YouTube channel. Dex Digi is the name, right? And
Yes, thank you.
it's great. Everyone has to subscribe. But I also saw a video from an interview that you did on someone else's show where you said academia is a cult. Tell me more.
So the big problem is I don't know what show you're talking about.
You're
but
talking
I
to
say
some
that
guy.
I say that a lot. It's true. Academia is there's like a refinement to that. Academia is a cult, but it's basically a pyramid scheme.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying. And so this is coming from, okay, just to be clear, I'm only saying this. What I'm about to say now. I have a PhD. I'm only saying that because I feel like the people who've been in it are qualified to talk about it.
Yes.
I started to feel like it was a cult when I was going in. It wasn't really until I started I started to get a little bit further on in my studies that I realized it's kind of a pyramid scheme. But it's only a pyramid scheme in the sense that everything is a pyramid scheme. Which is to say that there just aren't enough jobs for people. And so we really started to devalue higher education, especially the humanities. And like media studies, what is that? Why does that matter? Why would anybody want a literature degree? Everybody should be getting a STEM degree or whatever. And sure, those things are important too. But we're in this kind of like weird double problem here, which is that there's criticisms from the outside of humanities, which is all you guys do, you don't do anything, you do a bunch of just like silly stuff, and you're not actually talking to anybody, you're writing books that nobody reads. And internally, inside the cult, right, we criticize that and we say, oh, those people just don't understand what we're doing. They don't, they're for lack of a better term, I think some people actually look down on that sort of opinion, which I understand. But internally also, we're also not doing the best job in making the scholarship that we do accessible. Like right now, if you want, I have a book on Amazon. Like you could buy it. I think it's $100. I have one chapter in that book. I think it's pretty good chapter. It's not worth $100.
Okay.
Not even close. And this stuff should be available. By the way, I didn't make any money off of that. And so academia is a very strange profession. It is a profession. It's an industry like anything else. But yeah, it's something where I often have people come up to me and say, hey, Dexter, I'm thinking about going to grad school. And I'll say, are you independently wealthy? If the answer is no, okay, why are you going? Like, what's it for? You know, are you going because you think there's a job at the other end of that? There might not be. Are you
Mm-hmm.
okay with that? Are you okay with rolling the dice? Um, and are you just doing it because you think having an extra title in your name will give you some amount of prestige? Like I said, you can gather as many accolades as you want, and at some point, I don't really like. Why are we doing this? What are you
Yeah.
doing? Yeah, there's
I
there's
think
a.
so many
Oh, go ahead.
people, when they get to a certain age, they're like, oh, maybe I should get a master's, right?
Yeah.
And I feel very strongly that anyone who has that urge should go salting. They should just get a job at UPS or Amazon, and go in with the intention of union organizing. And because I think a lot of times when people are getting the, oh, I should go to grad
Mm,
school, they want to make the world better. They're not fulfilled with the job they've been doing. And yeah, I think, well, you're just going to go to grad school and then you're going to be like, oh, I'm around all these jerks. What the hell? You would maybe make a difference. Yes, I think you should. I think you should get into a unionized trade and steer the country to the left. That's what I think everyone. That's what I think everyone who wants to go to grad school should actually do.
I mean, my
Maybe even undergrad too.
yo, look, I mean, it's really weird too because there's like, oh man, I wish I remembered who wrote this, but again, there's these. It's like this weird double bind, right? Because you have to recognize that there are valid criticisms of the system of academia, right? Of higher education. I got into it because I wanted to teach. That's all I ever wanted to do. Like when I was a kid, like somebody asked me when I was third grade, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it was like, I want to teach third grade. And then when you asked me if I was in fourth grade, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to teach fourth grade. Like it was just, I'm one of those people who I really liked school
Hmm.
and I was good at school. But then I also realized that like this stuff's just fun. Like learning about stuff is fun. Learning about things that like I'm one of those people who people talk about, oh, going on a Wikipedia rabbit hole or whatever. I'll do that for 5 hours and I'll end up God knows where.
Hmm.
And that stuff's fun for me. But I've seen there's this kind of constant questioning of what is it that causes the devaluation of the universities? Why don't people want to go to universities anymore? And again, I have pretty deep criticisms of this stuff. Like, for example, I taught at UC Riverside,
Hmm.
2022, so a couple years back. And that was the same quarter that all the student staff went on strike.
Hmm.
So the grad students went on strike. And a lot of people don't realize that when you go to university, for your first couple years, you're probably not being taught by a quote unquote professor. Like professor is a title. And then there's assistant professor, and that's below that. Like
Hmm.
professor, there aren't a whole lot of professors who are under like 50 years old, right? And so the person teaching your classes is actually probably a graduate student
Mm.
or an adjunct, which you know what an adjunct
Yes,
is. An
yeah.
adjunct is somebody who doesn't actually have full employment there. They don't have, probably healthcare, all that sort of thing. But they went on strike because the amount of money they were making, you couldn't even have an apartment in Riverside. And Riverside's not LA. Like it's
Yeah.
not cheap, but it's not expensive either. But okay, so why are we devaluing this culturally? And one theory, and I think it's a really interesting one, is that more women started going to college.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, why do men, and specifically, why do men not want to go to college? It's because they saw that women were going and they say, oh, this isn't prestigious enough. And so, like,
Interesting.
majors
Okay.
that were traditionally more male dominated, as more women started to enter it, men start to decide, oh, this is no longer prestigious enough. I need to do this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this pattern that keeps happening. And we just fail to recognize these patterns, which again would be the argument for here's why you need the humanities, so that you actually start looking at things from a broader cultural lens and you can actually understand phenomena when they happen, but we just won't do that. And so everybody's like, oh, well, college is expensive. Yes, college is expensive. The economy's bad. Yes, the economy's bad. Also, sexism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that can also be a factor.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I think it's a pretty compelling one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's so many factors in everything. Everyone wants to believe that there's one factor
Yeah.
for every problem. which of course is stupid as hell. um, I want to ask you about how you got into journalism, but I I want to start with you worked at Vice.
Yes.
Uh, they ended the whole Vice News
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Mhm.
And we're hearing all these stories about Teen Vogue cut all the news.
Yeah.
CBS cut the news. They hired Barry Weiss to be in charge of their news. NBC firing their news. BuzzFeed cut their news.
Mhm.
This freaks me out, and I want to scream about it all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are not freaked enough. What is happening?
I mean, I think this is another thing is devaluing of journalism. And why is that happening? You know what I mean? Which is hard to say. It's, you can't like put any one thing on it,
Mm-hmm.
but, or, you know, any one reason on it. But definitely, you know, I think there are some people who are at the tops of organizations. This is my read on some of it, right? Not all
Mm-hmm.
of it, but some of it is that, well, this is a business and we should give people what they want. And maybe there are people who are uncomfortable with the sorts of stuff that we're making.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, we saw that. I saw that at Vice so much. Vice is a super interesting case study in that sense because people were really attached to Vice, like really attached to Vice in a way that, I mean, there was, CNN doesn't have fans.
Right. Yeah.
There's no diehard CNN fan. You know, there's no diehard NBC fan. That
Yeah.
person just doesn't exist. There's no KTLA fan. But there were people who were like, Vice is it. You know, even more so than like MTV when
Mhm.
MTV was really strong, right? But then, like anything else, it changed. And some of those changes were just simply the people on camera weren't just white dudes. Like those was one of the that was one of the fundamental changes. And hey, they're not just talking about like doing drugs in a forest. They're talking about how people can't get healthcare.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of like, you know, the people who listen to like Rage Against the Machine
Mm-hmm.
and then end up being like borderline fascist later.
Sure.
And it's like, why Rage Against the Machine? Why do you keep talking about politics? It's like, my
Where have
brother
you
in
been?
Christ, have you ever thought about the machine we were raging against?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, did you ever listen to our lyrics? And so I think there's a similar element where outlets grow up, people grow up, and people become interested in other things. And then you've got somebody who remembers an outlet for, oh, this is where I used to go to see people talk, like laughing about drugs or people laughing about brown people. But now there's like brown people and they're like doing things. Some of them are
Okay.
good, some of them are bad. And like, that's serious. I don't like that. I want funny stuff. Where's the funny stuff? Where's the stuff that confirms the way that I already think about the
Right,
world,
yes.
right? And then you do that, and that starts to make people uncomfortable. And not everybody, to be
Mhm.
very, very clear here, not everybody, but those people who become uncomfortable can be very loud
Mm-hmm.
and because they feel like something's been taken from them. You dig what I'm saying? Like it's like you took away somebody's blanket, and they yell and they comment and they make that very clear. And then I think what happens, frankly, and this isn't really even just Vice, there's a lot of places, you just get people up top who are a bunch of squares
Yeah.
and they're scared.
Yes.
And
yeah.
they don't have any nerve. They have no sauce. There's no flavor. They don't understand anything.
Mhm.
And so they see some people outside and they say, oh man, there's some people who don't like this. Maybe we should do like, maybe we should do more moderate coverage. Like, bro, what does that even mean? What is
Yeah.
moderate? What is moderate in 2025, especially?
Right.
And it doesn't mean anything. And
And
so
it's not interesting even.
it's not.
Just as like a shrewd business decision. Like, why would like bland reporting on nothing get eyes, get clicks?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you just want to be like crass and cynical about it,
Yeah.
why do you want to make the stuff that everybody else makes?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, again, I'm not running the business, and maybe that's why I don't run a business. But for me, it doesn't make sense. At the very least, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, of course, we're seeing people, not just younger people, but of course, younger people, kind of go look for information elsewhere. Because really, like, journalism is one way to put it. I know, like, people don't even want to say that word anymore. People want to call themselves like creators or creator journalists. Like, that's
Right.
cool too. Honestly, it's like information.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, do you have information about what's happening outside? You know what I mean? Maybe we could say that rather than saying the news, because saying I don't like the news. Okay, do you like knowing what's happening? Do you like information? Would you like to know what's happening? Whatever that means to you. You dig what I mean? So, yeah, but yeah, it's sort of bleak now. It's sort of bleak.
Yeah. To me, it seems pretty obvious that there's executives that are like, this stuff is too lefty. We don't want to talk about it because we'll get blowback. But I feel like when I say that to people, even people that work in news, they're like, no, that's not what's going like. And I feel like, are they in denial or not? Maybe it's just different places. Like, I was talking about this with a friend the other day. He's a journalist. And I said, it looks to me as a consumer that people are afraid to or think, oh, why bother reporting on certain things because they know the exec isn't going to like it. And he said, no, I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening is the execs just want clicks. And so, yeah, I was pissed at his answer because shouldn't something that's like super lefty be inflaming and get a lot of clicks?
So my answer might also upset you because
Okay.
it's similar, actually. It's very I'll say this.
Mhm.
I've only worked at two places. I worked at LA Times briefly, and I worked at Vice, and then I've written for a bunch of other places like Guardian, Wired, like a few other places, and I've never had anybody tell me you can't report on that. That's never once happened. Granted, Vice was a very unique place.
Yes.
But nobody's ever said like that's inconvenient, you can't do that or anything. Like that's never happened. And I'm not that deep in the game. I guess I've been in it 10 years, which is not that long compared to a lot of people. So my experience is somewhat limited, but I've never personally seen that. Probably at some level it might happen, but it's a little bit more, who do you hire? And are the people who you hire the sorts who are the kind that's gonna shake stuff up? You know what I mean? And when you become less interested in the sort of thing that is gonna shake people up, you just don't hire those people. And so that stuff really never gets made. It's like it's not that long ago that when the police said something happened, a local paper would just basically go in and say, okay, officer, what happened? Oh, this happened and this person ran and then you had to shoot him. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much. And then you just print that.
Right. Yeah.
And that wasn't like a weird thing to do. People just did it. Now, granted, a lot of the readers felt like, okay, I don't believe that.
Yes. Right.
But they didn't really have access to say much about it. And so whatever they were actually experiencing wasn't really being reflected. But yeah, it's not like the kind of like the cartoon villain, like guy with a cigar coming in and saying, don't print that. We can't have that in the newspaper. Take that out. It probably happens at some level somewhere, but that's kind of an inefficient way to do things, I guess. A more efficient way is you just don't really hire the sort of person who shakes stuff up.
I guess another thing that I'm curious about, and I think a lot of people are confused about, is like, so like as a journalist, a professional journalist, there's certain journalistic guidelines that you have to follow that might change from place to place, but a news creator, quote unquote, they don't have to follow those. What are some of these guidelines that journalists have to follow that maybe prevent them from giving something that's opinionated? Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah. See that? Okay, that's tough. Everybody's different. So I never went to journalism school.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that I'm a worse journalist because of that. I would say if other people are better journalists than me, it's because they just like done more work than me. So I'm also not saying I'm the
Sure.
best journalist in the
Yes,
world,
yes, yes.
but we've all got different takes on it, and we all
Mhm.
disagree with each other pretty often. But honestly, journalism as I think I can say, I think journalists will agree with me. Journalists as like an activity, journalism as a profession is actually very simple. It hasn't changed very much either. You go, you ask, yeah, yo, tell me what's going on. And then you tell me what's going on. I write it down, and then I put that in the article, right? And if there's more context necessary, like if I see a car crash outside, I say, okay, red car crash into the blue car. That's what I saw. And then I talk to the person in the blue car. Hey, what happened? Person in the blue car said that they were going 60 miles an hour. The person in the red car said they were only going 30. This is what I saw. Boom, ask some more people. Okay, that's it. So really, I mean, journalism is, the fundamentals are very basic. It's write down what happened, talk to somebody, and record that accurately and don't lie. Like, that's it. That's
Yeah.
like, it's really basic. Beyond that is where things start to change, I guess. So if you're not sure of something, you can't say it happened. Like that's a fundamental, right? So if you say there was a car crash outside and there was a red one just sitting at the stoplight and the blue one plowed into it, I can't report that as fact. That's not immediately obvious to somebody who hasn't been told that. I had to be told that because, like, oh, I believe you. You seem like a trustworthy person, and so okay, let me write that down. But I know to take that with a bit of grain of salt. Like, I'm not going to put my life on that. I'm not going to bet $1 million that that's actually what happened. But the person reading this, they don't have that context that I just heard it from somebody, and so it's like really the fundamentals they're actually sort of basic, but it's really just give me the full context of what you know and why you know it. Beyond that, I mean, I think there's some other things, but that's like the basic fundamentals, adding your opinion on something. I don't see anything wrong with that. And that's one of the sort of difficult things too, is everybody says, oh, just give me the facts, no bias. Like, that's not possible.
Yes.
It's just not possible, right? Like, I might think that car was purple, you might think it was blue or whatever. That's a silly example, but I think there's so many things where we've seen something reported, and no matter what that person's perspective is in there a little bit, again, saying why do you know something, like what do you know and why do you know it, implicit in there, I think, is like, what's your perspective? So, if I think something racist, I'll just say it.
Yes.
I'll just say, hey, I saw this, and like, I'm not uncomfortable saying, hey, this policy predominantly affects Black people or predominantly affects Latino people, and it's been called racist. Like, I'm comfortable saying that. Or I could even say, if I really wanted to, racist policies, right? I could say that if I wanted to. But by doing that, you as the reader or you as the person watching, you're like, okay, I know where this person stands. Move from there. Like, I try to treat me personally, I try to treat anybody who's watching or reading my stuff like a smart person.
Sure.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
like you can, if I call something racist and I tell you why I think that, okay, you can evaluate, yeah, do I trust this person or not? But at the very least, like, I'm not trying to pass something on as fact. I'm letting you know, here is why I'm making this evaluation.
Yes.
Go ahead and do with that what you will.
And I heard you say that the LA Times said that you couldn't use the word racist. And I guess their argument would be, we don't want to get in trouble. That's an opinion, and you have to be super.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that's one of those things,
That's
like,
so stupid.
yeah, I mean, and to be fair, that was one editor. Like, that wasn't everybody. But well, and so this is the thing, I mean, for a lot of people, things about like race or gender or whatever, it's like purely theoretical things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I could sit here with the dude and we could be talking about, like, yeah, man, I don't think women should have any ability to have like reproductive care, like forget that, man. Like abortions, like nah, they shouldn't be able to touch any of that stuff. That's whack. And then the person next to me could say, Dexter, I don't think that's a very nice thing to say. And the dude, right, could say, I don't think that's a really cool thing to say. And so, I disagree with you. Well, I think this, and we can go back and forth, and we can shake hands. And at the end of the day, it's like, oh, we had a respectful disagreement. Cool. It doesn't affect us personally. Like neither one of us are like lives are on the line tomorrow, right? It doesn't affect us in that way. And so for us, for a couple of dudes, cisgender dudes, whatever you want to say, like gender inequality in the workplace, it's like a theoretical question. It's like, yeah, it's like a math problem.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like
People
theoretical
can debate
physics.
it, yeah.
Like we can debate it, but it doesn't actually do anything for you. And so, when you're in a place where, there's a bunch of people who haven't really either had to think about it or seriously thought about why explaining something as racist or explaining something as sexist or explaining something as homophobic or whatever, or explaining why there are people who might even think like that, then it's like, you're being a little bit too heavy-handed here. It's just how the game goes.
That pisses me off because
No, me too.
Legislation can be racist,
Yeah,
sexist,
100%.
transphobic, and if you can't describe it as such, then you can't tell people what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, but that's one of the things. Like, there's ways around it if you got it. I mean, I'm just talking in technical terms here.
Yes,
you can say terms that are widely just policies that are widely described as racist.
Yes,
you can do that, or you can just describe what it does.
Right.
Sometimes that works too. Like for whatever the word sexist really bothers people. The word racist really bothers people. Like that's the worst thing. Like you want to call a white person something. Like it's that's the R word that like people don't want to be called.
Right.
Like people do not want to be like white people do not want to be called racist because like you've insulted everything about them. And
they're
it's like
picturing an evil Klan member.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, what you said was racist. Like it's cool. I think like we could still hang out or whatever. I mean, maybe.
A lot of white people don't know that they can say whoops. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've said oops, my bad so many times.
Right.
I said oops, my bad this morning.
Sure.
But like it's whatever. It doesn't mean it's a negation of you as a person. It's and I I'll say it though, I think it is a little something that, kind of the neo-lib crowd, slightly left-ish crowd has made things difficult. I'll put myself in this category for ourselves is, somebody makes a mistake, somebody does something, and it's like, okay, cool. You pick up anything from what you did? Yes. Interesting. Okay. All right. Keep going. Let's let you cook. Let's see what you got next. Instead of like, I'm never paying attention. Like this person tweeted something wild 10 years ago. I'm never talking like, okay. I mean, that's one way to live your life.
Yes.
But I also think, one thing that I think it's missed in that, like quote unquote, not to talk very briefly about cancel culture. I think one thing that gets missed about that is like the people who like engage in that sort of online conversation are like such a tiny minority. Like most people truly will say, man, I didn't like that one thing, or I just thought that one thing was whack. Okay, they're a person, and let me see what they do next.
Right.
Like I don't know. Yeah, like that's the most people's reaction actually. So I think like the whole, oh my God, you can't say anything or everybody will jump on you. No, like 10 people will, multiply that by how famous you are, whatever. But like the vast majority of people like, I mean, I've written stuff I'm not proud of. I've made things I'm not proud of. And I've kind of sucks. And then I, keep making things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you should let people cook unless they're clearly malicious or don't want to learn. Yeah.
But this is, okay, total kind of sidebar here. This is, sometimes it's hard for me to talk as a journalist, even though I've done it. I've been doing this for like 10 years. Like I had a segment that got referenced on Last Week Tonight on John Oliver, and he's like referring to it and he says, listen to what he told a journalist. And like even now, and it like cuts over to me. Like John Oliver says, and what he told, you'll see what he told a journalist, and he cuts over to me, and I'm like, I'm a journalist? Like what?
Journalist?
I know, but it's like I don't necessarily think of myself as that. I always feel like I'm kind of like this outsider just observing different professions or observing different cultures. Like that's kind of what I'm into is I mean, my whole thing is I study Japanese rap music. Like that's what my PhD was on. And so I always feel like I'm jumping from culture to culture and just seeing how they do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually why I find comedians really interesting, because comedians also have these weird internal rules and
Okay.
like things that you do and don't do, and just this kind of bizarre logic
Yeah,
from the
for sure.
outside, like
Yeah.
really bizarre logic in the way that you look at the world. And then journalists, and I've started to absorb this too, like journalists do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's fundamentally unhinged to like stand outside, and when the cops are shooting rubber bullets and like launching tear gas and everybody's running this way, it's not smart, like on a basic Darwinian level, to walk toward it
Yes.
to
Yeah.
see what's happening. And we do it. It's kind of stupid. and even with the understanding that, okay, there's somebody else with the camera, they've probably got the shot, but what if they don't? And it's not even a like, I gotta get the shot, I gotta sell the thing. Like I'm out there with everybody else too. And well, okay, what if we need this other image? What if we need this other image? What if I'm able to add something to quote unquote the story that somebody else wasn't, right? And these are like weird things that we do that are like kind of counterintuitive. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or like somebody tells us something and it's off the record, that's off the record. That's like the honor thing.
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
tell me something that's off the record, I will never tell anybody that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right? And then I look at comedians and the way that a comedian will say things that, like on its face, like that, dude, that's not funny. That's not funny. But then and I know this like a little bit because I was like DJing for a friend's comedy series, and he was doing like stand up, and I would just like watch the comedians, and I started to understand it. I was like, oh, you're like saying stuff that's like not funny. You know, like in clips, like everybody's like watching
Yes.
stand up in
Yeah.
clips now. It's like that's not a funny joke.
Right.
But then in the context of the set, like the discomfort, like, oh, you want me to be uncomfortable. You actually don't want me to laugh yet. That's so weird,
Yeah.
but it's really cool.
It is
And it's
cool.
just like an internal cultural thing that I think just, if you don't actually understand comedy,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not professing to, but like even just like I know enough to know that I don't know much, it starts to make sense. And that's the thing about journalists, is journalists are super like, they're like very normal people, but also have some very strange quirks that they've picked up just by virtue of being in that culture. Just like comedians,
Mm-hmm.
just like English professors or whatever. There's just
Sure.
like these internal weird things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's super interesting to me.
Another thing I'm very freaked about.
Oh no.
um, I hate war. Guilty as charged.
Mm,
Lock me up.
not a fan.
In the corporate news, sponsored news, whatever, they're not doing a great job on war, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of these right-wing weirdos filming themselves are saying, oh my God, why are we giving money to Israel? This is so crazy, blah, blah, blah. And then there isn't a strong enough left to counteract it, I think. Or like the liberal mainstream media is being so careful and not talking about, oh my God, why are we giving all this money to Israel? And I feel like you guys are ceding this ground to these right-wing weirdos. And I'm totally freaked. And I don't know. I just want to bully these networks into reporting on it more. But I guess that's not really what I'm supposed to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it gets difficult. Is like, for example, people will say they want positive news, and then you put it out, and then like nobody clicks it.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And people say they want like unbiased stuff, and like the market doesn't seem to be showing that.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people are very comfortable with the stuff that confirms their worldview
Mm-hmm.
already. And yeah, and that's sort of the thing is like don't the if you don't have if there's no real consequences for getting things wrong, um then you'll start to just kind of say whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think this is where a lot of journalists like creators fall into this a bit. um you start to get really interested in, okay, like what's going to get attention, and if it's not going to get attention, I'm not really going to talk about it so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very interesting. um but then also, like, if I get something wrong, like I can kind of just rush to I just like, I want to be first. I want to be the first person to get something out. And it's just a bad spiral for everything. You know what I mean? And this is where, networks or larger organizations are, they kind of don't really have a whole lot of recourse, because you have to fact check. Like, you can't just say this is what happened outside. Like, there was a school shooting or whatever, and this is exactly what happened. They caught the shooter. Like, we don't know yet. We have to verify this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else on the internet can be saying whatever, and they're getting all
Right.
the
Yeah.
clicks and all the
Mm-hmm.
views. We can't do that. And so, like, I know that I can't do that. If I were to do that, I wouldn't work anywhere again. Not
Mm-hmm.
anywhere serious. At least I hope I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I hope nobody would take me. But if, but that's the difficulty. You're independent. Can you compete with an NBC? No, except maybe on time and kind of bombasticness or whatever. So,
Yeah.
we can say whatever we want about the worldview or the slant or whatever of the super right wing dudes who are doing this, and it's a lot of dudes. It's not always only dudes, but there's reasons. There's like motivations for
Mm-hmm.
why they'll do stuff like that. Is because I can get clicks and I can get views. And again, if you get views, you're getting paid, off of ads and stuff like that, at least off of ads. And it just becomes kind of a grift. Like,
Yes.
there's always the temptation to slide into a grift, I
Yeah.
think. And it's, unfortunately, because of the way the landscape is, it's kind of on individuals to prevent themselves from doing that.
Yeah.
Rather than, if you're at a network, like, I made things at Vice, especially. I made things that were not profitable. Like, I made a documentary. This is the thing that John Oliver mentioned. Is about felony murder. Is a short version. A kid named Lakeith Smith was, he and some friends, was 15 years old, broke into a house when the owners were not home. They were taking things like Xbox games, think like a TV. Cops show up, kill one of the boys, charge everybody with murder. Yeah, it's called felony murder. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So the boys are there taking things, and the cops show up and they run. One of them, and the boy who was shot, there is some body cam footage. There's debate about whether or not he tried to shoot the officer. But at the very least, Lakeith Smith, who was the youngest of the boys, 15 years old, was never accused of shooting, was never accused of trying to shoot, was never accused of he had a gun on him, was never accused of trying to use it. They found him hiding in the woods. Cops show up, he ran away. Testified that he was scared. Gave him 65 years. 15 years old. They gave him 65 years.
The cops killed his friend.
The cops killed his friend.
He was charged.
With the murder. Yes. It's there is some version of this in a lot of states in the United States.
What state did that happen in?
That was in Alabama.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But stuff like this happens all over the place.
Yes.
And so
and this is not a profitable story because it's sad, it's uncomfortable.
Well, no,
people want to read about Trump instead, or what?
All those reasons.
Okay.
I mean, and not just me. Like, I was the person on camera, but to be super clear, I mean, my guy Mustafa, I mean, Jika, that's a producer, and DP, both of them were actually producers on that. I mean, Arlissa, like a whole big, Zach, like a whole big group of people. I just named out 5 people. That's the people who were like there with me physically all the time, or some of the people. There was some more. There's people who are editing it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is a lot of stuff. I calculated at one point, I was in Alabama for close to a month out of one of the years. Like, I spent almost a month, just if you like total everything up, a month to maybe 5-6 weeks. It was a long time. Just in hotel fees for us.
Right.
That's a
Okay.
lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever once came up to us and said, now, Dexter, we gonna get to sell some Mountain Dew ads off of this? Or like, what's going on? Like, we gonna make some money off of this? No. We said, this is important. This is an important story. More people should know about it. And we put everything we had into that. And so more people can know about it. And thankfully, more people do know more about it. He's still locked up. It didn't change that. And I think about that a lot. But I think, and the documentary that we made, it doesn't like tell you what to think. Like, I interviewed
Right. Yes.
the person who became, I interviewed law enforcement about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the people I talked to became a DA, basically said that, if this case was tried today, things might have been different after the murder of George Floyd. Does that change anything for Lakeith Smith? No, not right now. Right. But this is, this was a really important thing that we made. But I say that to say that for everything that we say about, I want the independent journalists. We got to go with the independent journalists. Like, you can't afford to do that. I couldn't make that today.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't make that today. And we were able to do something that was just important. And nobody told us this isn't profitable, so you need to stop. That never happened. And that, in general, is not something that happens in a newspaper. Even like, we can have whatever criticism we want about it, but you can do things that are unprofitable. You know what I mean? Maybe the sports coverage is what's really moving the needle, and maybe that kind of subsidizes the rest of the newsroom. Like, I don't know. I don't work in the business part of it like that, but that's important. And so the ability to do things that aren't motivated by profit, you know what I mean? And like, there's people right now who are, and I know a lot of them who are out like covering the protests, covering the ICE raids and stuff like that, who are taking a huge loss. Like, they're doing it just because they feel like they have to.
Yes.
Like, I'm out there with the camera. I'm not really getting paid for any of that. And that's like, I'm not saying that like, oh, boo-hoo for me or whatever. I'm in a comfortable enough position to where like I can afford, like, I know next month, like, I'm not getting kicked out of my room. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay. There are people who are doing the exact same thing just because they feel like they need to. But, journalists are, a lot of times, for a lot of people, they really do feel like it's a calling and they feel a responsibility. And I think we don't fully understand what it's going to look like if we really think that we're just going to get it from a bunch of people on TikTok who are all by themselves. I think, again, you don't have to like news, quote unquote news, but if you would like information and if you would like to know what happened, you're going to start relying on people you might be a little bit less comfortable. You're going to start relying on people with money, with the funding. And the people with the funding starts to become the police, because they have some money to put together a hype. Border Patrol has money to put together a hype video about what they're doing. You know what I mean? And so you're not really you want objectivity. You're not really getting it from a third party. You're getting it from, hey, here's what we did and why we did it. So yeah, things are changing. But yeah.
But yeah, I'm mad every day about like the coverage of Gaza and like just the discussion about like, okay, how much money are we sending over there, and like, do we really want to be doing that?
Yeah.
And I really don't see it covered enough on mainstream news. And frankly, I don't see enough liberal or progressive type people talking about it, because they want to work in TV. They want to sell TV shows.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, calling something a genocide is a good way to get yourself, to get to. I shouldn't even say that. Calling something a genocide, talking about something and I could go down the list of a lot of other
Yeah.
things that would make people uncomfortable.
Yes.
Um, it's not necessarily that means you can't work at X network. It's that you start to think that you can't
Yes.
work at X
Yes.
network.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And this
And
is why I'm yelling at everybody, because I'm like, if we all do it, what are they gonna do? But it just really
yeah, one day
pisses me
everybody will
off
have been against this.
because
Yeah.
look at how many times, well, I don't know if you're as online as me, but how many times do you see people say, wow, Candace Owens is starting to make sense. Wow, I can't believe I agree with Tucker Carlson. And like, I just want to shake people. Like, we are going to go so much further to the right, further to fascism if the liberal media won't talk about this and just lets those guys talk about it. And then anyone who looks at their phone sees this horrible shit, they'll say, well, those are the only guys talking about it. I guess I should trust them.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that bothers me about just the menu of larger news organizations. Because again, larger news organizations, the thing that some of the things they could do is like if I get out and I start saying, "Yo, Amazon is union breaking," and I'm just giving an example, Bezos, we're chill, we're cool, but
We love Twitch. We
big
love
big
Amazon
big fan,
servers.
big fan, you know what I mean? But as an example, X company, whatever, is out here union busting and they're doing something uncomfortable. Somebody from X company could send me an email and say, "Dear Mr. Thomas, please stop doing this or we're gonna sue you."
Mhm.
Me personally, I don't have the money to go up against XYZ large corporation. Are they gonna try that if I'm on staff at LA Times, New York Times, the Courier, whatever? Nah, because there's some lawyers there. And
Yes,
so
exactly.
again, you start an independent journalist might have to start being a little bit more comfortable or a little more careful about, okay, do I really want to touch this? Or should I do something that is a little bit less likely to get me in some trouble? And you
Yeah.
have to start picking and choosing because you can't handle that smoke. You know what I mean? And this is why, like I say, a lot of times some of the things that are working out well are journalist collectives where journalists get together and form something. 404 Media is a really good example. Do you know 404?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. 404 ex-Vice people. And it's like tech reporting, but they cover like everything. But it's 4 people. And I genuinely think, like, if I was to give anybody a recommendation for anything, I think everybody should read it because it's technology reporting, but everything is technology. As the leader of the free world recently famously said, everything is computer. And so seriously, we got to know about the computer, man. And they're covering the computer. Them, Wired magazine, my podcast Kill Switch, I try to do it, but for real, 404 is a really good starting point. But we're having to come make new models for this, I think.
Andrew Callahan, which I don't know if he calls himself a journalist or if he calls himself a presenter or whatever, but I saw him say that he got threatened with like $1 billion lawsuit, something like something crazy like that, because I think it was because Hunter Biden on his show said that Melania was connected to Epstein or something. And so he got so Andrew got threatened with a lawsuit because of that. And I hear that and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, does that mean you're going to court? Is that like an empty threat? Like, yeah, it makes me curious, like what people like you, I don't know. How seriously do you have to take those things?
Yeah, I mean, you would have to take it very seriously because the thing is, they don't have to think there's a case.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to think there's a case, and maybe they don't think there's a case, but they could like scare you into it. I've never personally run into it. That's not quite true. I've done a couple movie movie coverage and stuff like that because I cover a bunch of stuff back at Vice. I had a few people who didn't like something I wrote.
Sure.
But it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you really gonna do?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what they can do. Actually, they can say, well, we're never talking to you ever again.
Yes.
Or we're never talking to your outlet ever again, which is something actually that's super interesting that's happening right now. Is like, I mean, this is an old example, but like Beyonce doesn't have to do interviews. Like, why would Beyonce do an interview? Like, why would Jay-Z do an interview? Again, these are old examples, but like, I think Jay-Z did an interview with like New York Times a long time ago. I think he just did it because it was like a flex to be on the New York Times.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't have, at some point, newspapers and everything kind of had a monopoly on the flow of information, but now it's kind of the reverse, is where you're a newspaper or something like that, and you interview like Bad Bunny or something like that. Oh man, I hope he retweets our
Right.
article to his millions of followers. Yeah, and it's like, why? How do we get to the point where newspapers are clout chasing?
I know.
But that's where we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's and so now, you know, anybody, they just have their own method of delivery to people.
Yeah.
Podcasts.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So you don't have to have any like nosy journalists asking you questions. You can say, well, this is what I think, and this is my way of presenting everything in the world. Exactly.
I'm an entertainer. Yeah, I've been way more loud and annoying about my political beliefs in the past year because I'm so pissed. Like, I'm really just like, why isn't anyone saying?
What makes you happy though?
Oh, my dog.
Okay.
But,
are you gonna interview your dog?
Yeah.
Have you?
I thought about bringing him here.
Okay,
but
like just right here.
He sheds too much, so my clothes will look disgusting.
I mean, just what color's the dog?
He's white.
Just wear white clothes. Yeah, just wear white clothes. It's fine.
But
just like put him right here. It's like, does he bark? He's like a vocal dog.
No, he's a little sweetie pie.
Okay, all right. Well, that's not a very good interview subject.
But when I started being more loud and annoying on social media and criticizing things, my mom was very worried about me. And
that's real.
I was saying some stuff about RFK Jr. And I'm an entertainer. I'm a commentator. I'm not a journalist. There was a big environmental racism news story that happened where I grew up. And it was a huge, huge news story covered by the Bergen Record for like months at a time, maybe even years. And RFK Jr. capitalized on this situation to become like a celebrity. And the people reporting on the story at the time didn't know much about him, and they were happy to have this celebrity add some attention and clout.
Yeah.
But didn't know in advance that he was, you know, a weirdo and of bad character. And yeah, I know that he totally just took advantage of this whole situation to try to paint himself as, you know, he used to say that he's a liberal guy, a lefty guy who cares about the environment. And I know that none of this is true. And he just used a bunch of Native Americans and clout chased off of them. And these people who were all dying of cancer, they all got like $500 each to treat their cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And he got rich off of this. And so I was saying this on social media, and my mom was like totally like, please stop. And she said, you know, like, I'm worried that he'll sue you and that you will be in poverty and it will ruin your life. And again, I'm an entertainer. I'm a comedian. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm not a journalist.
So okay, so this is the really interesting place that we're at now, though, is comedians are now sources of information, right? Like, I'm leaving aside the news thing because, like, what does the news even mean, right? The news is just the thing that when you watch a certain channel on TV, they show things that you're not super interested in. Like, that's what you call the news. Like, that's what most people call the news. News is like the word that we use for things that we don't care about. But comedians are in this super interesting place now where you can like play journalist for a little bit.
Sure.
And then if you get it wrong, you're just like, well, I was just joking. I was just kidding. And but that's kind of where I mean, like, Joe Rogan can like get on and say something and somebody's like, hey, dude, that's wrong. Like, you know, until somebody says, dude, that's wrong. It's like, listen, I'm trying to tell everybody these are things you should know about. You're not hearing about it. And then somebody says, hey, yo, that's wrong. It's like, oh, look, man, this is a show. We're just hanging out.
I'm joking.
Yeah, we're all joking, right? And this is not even I mean, he'll be fine. I don't need to single him out. Anybody can do this. Like, this is the very, really interesting position of a comedian right now, or any podcaster, I guess. Whereas like journalists aren't really afforded that kind of grace,
Yeah.
I guess. Like a journalist has to be on at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's why some people or maybe want to move away from even being called journalism, because I think they just want to be able to say like I'd like to try things. I'd like to just
Yeah.
say stuff, but if you look at like what got us here, a lot of it is, to take a total left turn here, it's tech companies.
Mm-hmm.
Like tech companies, Facebook, the way that social media algorithms have started to just like turn everything into just this constant feed of information. And also, Google results just pulling directly from news articles so that you're getting bits of information. Some of it's right, some of it's a little bit out of context, without ever actually going to the site where it was created, means that those sites aren't able to pay their reporters. And so a lot of that is like, why are these layoffs happening? It's not just the economy's bad. It's like social media companies have been stealing from news outlets for years
Yeah.
now, and it's finally starting to really hit. And now they can't afford to do their jobs, but people still want information. They want to know what's going on in the world. And it's like, okay, well, where can I get it? Here's somebody who gives me something in a format that I kind of get. But they don't really have a whole lot of accountability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just where we are.
Yes.
It's not, dunk on any particular person. Just, yeah, that's where we are. Like if
Mhm.
I right now, if I was very serious about saying I'm a journalist, then I think some people would like respect that. But if I was just say, look, I'm not a journalist anymore, and I've seen people do this, I'm not a journalist anymore, I'm a creator, you get a lot more leeway.
Mhm.
And that kind of puts you in the, kind of side by side with the comedian thing. And I say that as I say that, like, I think there's a lot of comedians who do things that a journalist simply couldn't in a good way, and that they always done those.
Yeah.
Like Richard Pryor was able to say stuff that a reporter couldn't,
Yeah.
because it didn't make any sense for a reporter to say it. But like, look at the Richard Pryor show. It was incredibly weird, but also kind of predicted the future in a lot of ways. But like that the stuff that he was saying was fundamentally true. A lot of
Mhm.
it, you know what I mean? So yeah, we all want information. It's just the way that we got information has been kind of muddied,
Yeah.
unfortunately, by the social media companies.
And again, it pisses me off that
Yeah.
it's tech companies' fault, and the companies aren't just things that happen in nature. They're run by people.
Yeah.
They're run by executives. But I feel like so many people, even well-meaning people, I feel like they say this stuff to make themselves feel better. They say like, "Oh no, it's just people don't buy print media anymore. Oh no, it's just that people are switching to phones instead of TV."
Yeah.
So like,
Or they don't like the media because it's biased. Like,
yeah,
come
and
on,
it's
man.
like you guys need to be aware that it's actual people making these decisions. It's not just like, oh, whoops, we don't read newspapers anymore.
Yeah, but also, Mary, it's like it's people making these decisions. I mean, this is like, we can't go to people and say, eat your vegetables.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what it sounds like. And no, I'm not accusing you of doing that. I'm accusing you of doing that. But I'm accusing myself of doing that.
Yes,
Like I do that
yes.
too. And like I can get up here and say, listen, journalism is important, news is important, and I can kind of dance around it the whole way. But it's like food, man. Like
Mhm.
fast food is popular for a reason.
Yeah.
It's cheap. Well, used to be cheap, but it's cheap. It tastes really good. Like you cannot tell me that a Crunchwrap Supreme is like it is the pinnacle of American cuisine. It's so good. Give me
Mhm.
money, by the way. I need like sponsorships, Taco Bell. But like
Please.
these things, like fast food is super good, and it's satisfying, and it's
Mhm.
easy to well, maybe it's not easy to digest, but like it's easy. You understand what it is. There's nothing challenging about it, right? But if somebody says, "Hey, yo, actually, like kale is pretty good for you," I don't know why I said kale. Kale is good for you. Like broccoli is good for you. It's like, oh, okay. Do I have to do that? Like maybe once in a while, okay. But like if you start scolding
I
people, they'll
know.
really like, and like we can't do that. And like that's something. Sometimes again, I criticize academia, I criticize journalists. Like sometimes we do that
Yeah.
where we'll like scold people that you should be doing this right. and
Yeah.
you should be like reading the good stuff. And then, but the other thing is like we hate on people who are, like fake journalists. And I don't mean like, oh, fake news, not like that kind of
Sure.
thing. But I
Like
mean,
a Aaron
just like
Parnas.
somebody on TikTok who's like, they want to do some commentary, or maybe they want to go to a protest and like show what's going on. We shouldn't like hate on them and say, oh, you're doing this wrong. Like maybe say, hey, I see what you're doing. Like if you want to report on this, like here's a couple, like I know a couple things, like let me tell you this, like if somebody tells you something happened, like yo, you got to go verify that before you report it.
Mhm.
You got you got a little audience, maybe you got a big audience, whatever. Like let's help each other do that.
Yeah.
Like we can't, this is not a good time to be building walls right now.
Yeah.
This is not a good time to build, like we can't, journalists cannot afford to gatekeep right now. Like if we want people to understand stuff, we want people to have good information about what's happening on the global level, on the national level, but even just like around them. Like we should be assisting, whether the younger or older people. These protests I see, there's some OGs out there with their phone and they're like, I'm gonna report what's really happening. Okay, like how you doing that? You need any help? Like if you want some pointers, I'm right here. Like whatever, I'm happy to.
Mhm.
Like we have to do that. And we can't be talking down on people saying, if you're getting all your information from social media, like let's just be real. Like not everybody's able to pay somebody's $10 newsletter fee.
Yeah.
Like okay, so how can I help you find something that might be useful for you? You know what I mean? Like I feel like we all got to do that. Companies ain't gonna do it for us, so we all got to do that. Like even just for our neighbors, you know what I mean?
That's so wise. That's so wise.
I don't know if that's wise. It's
No,
just,
that is what I want to put exclamation points on that. That like if you see someone doing commentary, offer to help them out, like yeah, that's so smart. I feel like I haven't really heard people verbalize that.
Well, but I mean, don't you do this in comedy if you're not a jerk?
Sure.
You said sure. No, but really, like if
Yeah, you give
if
people
somebody comes up
advice
to you,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I could see this working for you. Have you tried this? Oh, you'd be really good at this." Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that happen numerous times.
Mhm.
Like actually, wild story. I interviewed Patton Oswalt once, and
Ratatouille.
yeah, and we were. I mean, this is actually, was it before that? It was a while ago. And I'm interviewing him, and I think before we were like just joking around. We're sitting on the couch, we're talking about something, and it was gonna be a short interview, and I said something like, "Oh yeah, and I got a set. I got some material I'm working on. Maybe we could talk about that afterward." He said, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever." Just playing around. Do the interview. It's like half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And afterwards, we're done. I say, thank you so much. That was a great interview. He says, "Do you need anything else?" I'm like, "Nah, we're good." Okay, so about to leave, and he says, "Okay, go for it." I'm like, "What?" He says, "Okay, like, but you got a 5? Like, you got a 10? Like, go ahead, go do your thing." I'm like, "Dude, I don't have a set. I'm not a comedian." But like, he was genuinely down to just watch me work through my material. Audience of one, doesn't know me from Adam. And I thought, damn, like that's really cool. And I know he's not the only person like that. I know there are other people like that, where if you meet somebody who's like trying to do, who's like would like some pointers from you and is being earnest about it. Like I said, like I come from education. I come from being a teacher. And like there should always be, I know there's always people in every culture, in every industry, every whatever, but really every culture, who are always going to be down to share what they know. And like I see that in comedy, and I see it in journalism too, to be real fair. Like I've had people mentor me or whatever, but it's just right now we need more of it. And some of those people who are, they don't know that they can come to us yet. By the way, like y'all, if you want some pointers, like if you're a creator, journalist, if you want some, like hit me up. I can tell you what I know, maybe introduce you to somebody who's better at it than me. But like there are people who are kind of interested in what we do. They think they can do it better than us. Okay, that's cool. But if you like something, if we can help, like we should be helping. Like man, we all got to be helping each other right now, because like the companies ain't helping us on some levels. Like the government is not helping us. And so, some are, some not. But, if we're not getting it from where we need, then even just at a local level, on a community level, culture level, like, you got to start helping people.
Well, it's just you're an authority on news, so I can talk to you about everything I'm pissed at about news, and
You can
then
come to me with your
yeah, and then be
grief.
like, "Is
Yeah.
that right?" And then you can say, "No, Mary, it works like this." And then I can say, "Oh, okay." Or you could
Uh,
say, "Oh, Mary, it's even worse than you thought."
yeah, that's the worst. That's the worst. Like whenever I end up talking about something and somebody says, "Yeah, I heard it's like this." Like, actually, have you heard about this other terrible thing that you'd never heard of before? Like that's what it. Oh my god, that's. I feel like that's happening a lot with technology now. Is when you explain to somebody or somebody says, "Oh my god, like all this AI stuff," it's like not even about AI. Have you seen this other thing that's happening right now? It's like, no. And I often feel like the bearer of bad news. I try not to be too much, but it
Sure.
happens.
Well, that's that's being a journalist.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I'm already over time, but that reminds me, I really want to like summarize this story
Mm,
quickly. You have a story on your excellent YouTube page
thank you so much.
about
I love how you're only talking about like my personal thing and not like the podcast that I do for iHeart. Like this is the best. This is great.
you
No,
guys
I love it.
gotta check out his YouTube. Because that's he owns that. Um, um, you have this thing about AI slop.
Yeah.
Um, and there's all kinds of AI slop, but some of the slop you were discussing in this video was like during the fires, there were these videos of like to a young person you can probably tell that it's AI of like
Maybe.
I mean it's been a year, they're probably way better now.
Yeah.
But of like firefighters like rescuing an animal and then all the comments of people being like, yes, what a hero. Heart, heart, heart. I love
Yes.
this. Oh, thank goodness for our boys. And
Yeah.
and it's bad. It's slop.
Hmm.
But the social media company makes money. The creator who posts it makes money.
Yeah.
And the social media company makes money. So it's a symbiotic relationship. There's no reason for the social media company to crack down on slop. In fact, the people that are investing in the social media company are probably investing in the AI company because it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
And I have a dog, and my dog is so cute and nice. And what else is positive?
Yeah, I can say something about the AI thing if you want me to. Yeah, I mean, with the AI thing, like, during the fires here in LA, there was the fake Hollywood sign on fire thing. I think a lot of people saw that. And yeah, people were making, or this one particular person who I talked to, I'm talking to this person, they told me like, "Oh yeah, I'm Russian." It doesn't matter where they were from really, but yeah, there was this person who was just they generated after the Hollywood sign on fire had been determined, like reported on, "Oh, this is fake. Please don't be fooled by this." Local outlets are saying that this person, I think, sees that and then starts generating their own Hollywood fire on sign content, but then also putting animals into it, like firefighters rescuing animals, and people like loved it, and it started, I mean, getting millions of views. And the kind of weird thing about that is, I mean, honestly, I can tell you what I think is coming next with AI is if you call something slop like you just did, people will call you an elitist. I think that's what's coming next. Give it 6 months. And here's what I mean is that everybody's got something that they care about a lot. Like I really care about music. And so like AI generated music, I kind of feel weird about that. For some people, like it was the Ghibli stuff, the anime stuff, like, oh my God, how dare you do this to Miyazaki's work or whatever. But then they've got things that they don't care about so much. You know what I mean? And like, oh, as long as this like does something positive or like it's well intentioned, like what's the matter with it? And so, we've seen the right do this a lot, right? The White House is like cranking out AI slop all over the place. Like they made a 10-hour long Big Beautiful Bill lo-fi mix Yeah, like you can. It's on whitehouse.gov. Like you can look
Okay.
at it. It's like on whitehouse.gov, and it's got like President Trump like scooping McDonald's French fries in this weird like anime view, and it's not very good. And there's music playing, and the music isn't credited, and so I can't say definitively. Here's me being a journalist. Can't say definitively that it's AI generated, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. That's my analysis there. But yeah, but I mean, for them, it's like, oh well, this is getting the kids to be interested in it, whatever. And you could say, oh man, that's terrible. Like it's literally just the text of the Big Beautiful Bill with 10 hours of music and Trump being animated, and it all looks kind of weird. But then you'll have people make AI generated images of Sudan, like the serious true brutality that's happening in Sudan, right? And there's a lot of Sudanese people who say, like, please do not do that. Like there are real life atrocities happening. Why are you making this? And then there are people who will say, well, I'm bringing awareness. People are doing that with Gaza too. And nobody can really come to any kind of consensus on, is it okay to use AI if you just want to get attention for something? And as long as even if that isn't real, even if this specific picture isn't real, this happened in one of the hurricanes, like there was this picture of this girl like holding a puppy, and I forget who it was. It was some politician. Like she posts it, and somebody says like, yo, this isn't real. And she says, I don't care if this particular picture isn't real. It feels real. And like, this is the reality of what's happening on the ground. I'm paraphrasing here. But like, there's a lot of that where it's like people are using this for like political purposes or just to make money because they know people look at it, because they know people get upset about it. But I think kind of the next wave that's going to happen is you're going to start to see more people say, does it really matter if it's not real? Because something like this is definitely happening. You know what I mean? Like this was the thing that was happening. You'd see in the comment sections of these, these fake AI firefighters picking up like baby bears and stuff like that, like picking up the scruff of their neck, like super weird stuff.
Yeah.
They're picking up raccoons and stuff. And it's like, this isn't real. This isn't real. And people in the comments like get mad when you point out that it's not real. I think we're going to start seeing that. It's going to get weird. It's already weird. You think it's weird now, it's going to get weird.
Okay.
Humanity is going to start fighting on the side of the AI slop. That's what's happening next. I'm sorry to say.
Gosh, my last interview ended with me saying, you know what, maybe I will have kids. And now, oh God.
Nah, I mean, but you can't be sad about everything. It's not possible.
No, I won't have kids. I'll get a robot.
I love that this is your conclusion. Yes, let's all have robots.
Yeah.
Let's all just get robots. Just lean in.
Yes.
Just Sheryl Sandberg it all the way. Let's just
That's
just lean into everything. let's just do it. Robots. Shout out to the robots. Big fan. Big fan, by the way. I was always for you, by the way.
Yes.
I was a big
fan.
supporter before you came out. Yeah.
Well, Dexter Thomas, that's our freaking time. Do you have stuff to plug? I know you do. Plug your stuff.
Oh my gosh. Only thing I'll say, shout out Kill Switch. It's a podcast that I host. And I did the theme song for it. I'm very proud of that. I got to do the music for it. But yeah, it's a podcast about living in the future. We already live in the future. So, we talk about technology, but in a way that hopefully you feel like it's not just gloom and doom. Perhaps you could do something about it. So, I mean, one of our first episodes was the cops using AI to arrest people. Often that doesn't go well, as you can imagine. But also did an episode about why Nintendo is such a weird company. And so, like, did a whole profile on the guy who invented the Game Boy. So just the whole gamut. So it's not just gonna make you sad. But yeah, and then the other plug, I'm not related to them, but 404 Media, check them out. Very, very highly recommended. And like go outside and like kick a ball around with your neighbor or something like that. That's the plug right there. Like go outside, touch grass, be nice to your friends.
Yes.
Make friends.
Help elderly people use their phone cameras.
Yes. Take pictures for people. If you see somebody outside trying to take a selfie, go up to this is a big thing. If you see somebody outside taking a selfie, say, hey, you want me to take a picture of you? Or like, a group of people. Do you do this a lot? Like I try to do this as much as I can. Like people taking a picture of like 3 people.
Oh my gosh.
The hand. Well, no, but I'm talking about like, you'll see like a group of 4 people.
Okay.
And then like they'll say, "Oh, take a picture," and then 3 of them go stand there, and there's one person who's left holding the camera. It's
Uh-huh.
like that person isn't an important enough person to be in the picture. Go up there and say, "Hey, you want me to take the picture for you?" Like, so all 4 of you can be in there. Maybe there's some kind of weird internal drama where they actually don't like that 4 person. I don't know, but I always feel like that person's probably just very sad. Like, okay, I'll take the picture for you, so
Okay.
you all can have this beautiful memory, and you forget that I was there.
Folks, take the picture.
Take the picture. Take the document other people. Document the other people and document the cops.
Yeah. Film the cops.
Film the cops.
Bye.